first package that I put together was pretty much everything that you had said you wanted in terms of deliverables. So behind the scenes video, full highlights video, 10 vertical videos. So with this amount of deliverables, and since I work with a team as well to help me with putting together the videos faster, or like a full deliverables of everything you asked, I would need around 3,000 for that. This is the price if we were to do 15. And then if you decided that you wanted to move forward with doing it for 3 months, I discounted the package at 10%. So it was like 9, so I brought it down to 81.
I think I would probably go with the first option, the first package, because that pretty much entails everything that we had gone over. And then I'd probably go ahead and move forward with just an upfront payment for the 3-month package at that point.
On parts of the game, like what other ways have you guys looked into, or do you guys have additional ways to like monetize it, or are there future ways that you want to implement in the future? Like how's that looking for you?
So we will be eventually including advertisements. Right now, we don't have any forced ads. We have optional ads. So you can receive currency if you watch an ad, say if you run out, so you can play more games. And then down the road, we'll probably add like a banner advertisement on the load-in screen for when you're like looking to match with someone. While that timer is kind of counting down for you to match, it'll just have like a banner of an advertisement going across the top. So that's a little bit more of a forced ad, but I'm trying not to, add too much of that, just because I know people can get a little pissed off if it's like too in your face. I never really like having to watch, like a 5-second ad and then forcibly like hitting skip on it to move on. So yeah, that's that. And then plus it's been shown that for apps, the primary source of income, if you have enough users on your platform, are the in-app purchases. So realistically, we're estimating at the lowest like about $5 on average per user over the course of a year. And so realistically right now there's 168 purchasable assets in the game. So you'll have some users that are dropping $100, but that averages out to the users that aren't spending any money. And so if we are able to get 100,000 players on the platform, we should be bringing in 500,000 at that point. If we're able to reach our target of 10% of chess.com, then we're talking about 10 million players on our platform with a profit or a revenue of 50 million at that point. And so from there, that's where it gets fun, in my opinion, because the reason I set this up is to kind of expand the community, the chess community, offer people like an opportunity to where they can actually consider, being a chess professional as like a viable option for their future, almost like being an athlete for, a certain sport, and offering people a platform.
Esports, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so I'd really like to build out esports in general. So it's not just going to be chess, but being able to like host tournaments where, almost like watching a golf tournament, these people are playing for pretty sizable pots, but then at the same time, they also get their side sponsors and whatever else they're doing, and that adds to their revenue as well. Right now for esporting events, like the primary revenue is pretty much either from sponsorship or streaming. And to be like a successful streamer is kind of, there's a little bit of luck associated with it. You can put out some great content, but it doesn't always mean that you're going to have people start to love following you. So giving people a platform where they can, play for pretty sizable pools of money and have like a larger viewership behind them, which in turn should help them, acquire some different sponsors and everything. So we would be doing that with chess initially once we start bringing in enough money and Gods of Chess. And then from there, we would kind of transition to, other esporting events and become kind of like almost like the UFC for what they did, really expanding that and trying to encourage people to view it as much as possible. So, yeah. And I think when the stakes are higher, people get more interested automatically,
Gotcha. Okay. Is there anything else that you want that was important that you wanted to show me in this video?
No, I can go to. It's one thing. It looks a lot better on iPad. So when we're out playing at the college campuses, we'll have the two iPads set up, and we can either have one or two people playing against each other, or we can just have one person playing the bot. My thoughts behind this are somehow, we're gonna have prizes, so you get kind of like a consolation prize regardless. That'll be like a $5 Starbucks gift card, and then you just have to sign a media release form that we can use. And then if they end up beating the bot, or they beat like whoever wins in a competition against each other, we'll find something that's like a little bit larger of a reward for them.
Hmm.
Um, I'm trying to do the gift cards because I can write it off as a business expense as opposed to just like handing out cash. It's a little tough to
Yeah.
track, you know. But yeah, so I'm gonna plan on that. And then I'm thinking that we record some of the interaction process, the setup and everything. Kind of tell people where we're located, like what we're doing there. And then in between the matches and talking to people and showing the app, kind of skip to some of the like the main things that we're focusing on as a company. Like, okay, why are we bringing this out here? What are we trying to accomplish?
Hmm.
And getting that message out there so people can hear straight from the source, like what the reason behind it is. That it's not just like a money grabbing, greedy kind of effort. Obviously, I'd
Yeah.
love to make money, but I'd also like to build what I'm trying to build. So,
Yeah.
um,
Just can't say that off the top.
yeah, exactly. Um, so I think when it comes to the gameplay, we'll just be doing like a screen recording of it
Hmm.
um on the iPads, and then we'll also have, the videography of the setup, and then us kind of talking to the player as they go, like, hey, what are you thinking right now? And talk just about the game in general, get their opinions on things. And then kind of mention as they get closer to maybe a checkmate, just be like, oh, it's coming down to the wire, and switching back and forth from looking at the gameplay to us talking to them, and then creating some kind of music behind it that might make it a little bit more theatrical, when it comes to like the very end of a match, if it's coming down to the line, and when somebody's about to make a checkmate. I don't
Hmm.
think we need to show all of the footage because it would get a little
Yeah.
long too quickly, but we can jump through and go back and forth real quick.
It's always
uh,
pull up the highlights.
yeah, exactly. So that'd be awesome. And then I'm thinking maybe how like in certain videos when they have like a job for people, or even like Mr. Beast videos, if someone fails something, it has like the kind of like failed sign go across almost, and like like with the red screen. It could be something like that. I'm not really like too familiar with editing or what looks best, so I'd kind of leave that up to you. But just trying to give you some ideas to go off of what we would be doing. But yeah, essentially that would be the primary portion of the beginning of things. Is just allowing people to check it out, um, get some like feedback from real time audiences, offer them a chance to win something, just encourage, and we can create the names for the YouTube videos to entice people to watch it.
Mhm.
Um, but feature the app and feature just a content creation. So it's almost like simultaneously advertising, essentially, when people just feel like they're watching content instead of being force fed an ad.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna share my screen really quick. There's just and then we'll kind of move into like the next portion of this. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
So I know like with building a game and like everything that you're trying to do, it's a very like long-term sort of process, right? So kind of what I wanted to kind of go over with you is like kind of like what's your overall like timeline in terms of like goals? Like what would you be looking to do? Like what are your goals for the actual game like within the next 3 months? And then where do you hope to be like in the next 6 months? And then where do you hope to be in the next like 12 months? Like, can you kind of give me a gauge of like the types of milestones that you'd like to be hitting with the game, and like how does creating like marketing content essentially help you with getting there?
Yep. So within the next 3 months, the first thing that I'd like to accomplish is finally launching. We've gotten to the point where we're just doing some minor bug fixing. And once that's done, everything is pretty much set in stone and we're ready to rock and roll. Just making some price adjustments and that's about it.
Mhm.
And then from there, I'd also like in those 3 months to start getting our content put together. That way we're not launching the app and then, struggling to get content and, we're kind of behind the eight ball.
Mhm.
Um, I'd like to get ahead of that and make sure that we have enough compiled. That way we can draw from those sources, whether it's to put towards Instagram or put towards the YouTube shorts, YouTube videos, and TikTok as well. Um,
Hey, sorry to cut you off. So when you're saying you put the content together and all the different assets that you're looking to get, like describe that to me, like more in detail. It's like YouTube videos, Instagram clips. It's like what kind of content essentially, like just kind of paint me that picture.
yeah, so I'd say for the YouTube and TikTok, YouTube videos would be more of a content that kind of encompasses our whole journey to those college campuses. And then I would say that the YouTube shorts would just be like little clips from those interactions, and same with the TikToks. That we would use those, and it doesn't always have to be a college campus. That was just kind of my first, instinct and easiest place for me to assume to go. Plus, it's like a safer environment to bring certain equipment and not risk, having people run off with one of my iPads. So, not that that's like the worst case scenario, but I'd prefer not to deal with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that, and then there is the Instagram portion, and that one I think is a little bit more on my end to put together. I have to get some background stories written out, so I have them like kind of essentially a roundabout kind of idea of how that's all going to go. But I need something that's like well written, almost like a fictional story behind each character that I can put in an Instagram post.
Gotcha.
Um, and so that pretty much is the compilation of the marketing material. I have a company that's going to help me get in touch with some micro influencers as well. And we're going the micro influencer route just because, for one, it's more cost effective
Yeah.
and their audiences tend to be a little bit more loyal and faithful to what that person's saying, as opposed to, a large content creator where it's kind of just whatever. Um, so that's the last portion. We're gonna skip paid advertisement for the time being because it's too expensive and too small of a return. It's a guaranteed return, but it's not enough to really put us ahead of the game. But yeah, so we're hoping that we can flood a bunch of information out there to essentially encourage people to start putting out user generated content. They see this and they're like, "Huh, I wonder if that can make my YouTube streams more successful, or my or not my YouTube videos more successful, or my Twitch streams more successful, whatever they're doing."
Mhm.
6 months out the road, I am hoping that we have around 10,000 players at that point. Um, that would put us in the position to be earning revenue. It wouldn't be a lot, but it would be enough to put us on the map. So we'd have enough people kind of playing back and forth. We'd get some actual feedback, and we potentially would have some content being pushed out from people aside from ourselves. And then that also will put us in a better sight of the other investors that could come along. And those other investors would potentially put up a lot more money once they see that revenue is actually coming in and it's successful, to be able to fund those paid advertisements and then also increase our budget for different shoots that we have for our either YouTube content or the shorts and TikToks. Then we could maybe potentially start flying to different areas, like booking on the company's dime, um, going to universities in Texas, going to universities in different states across the U.S., whether it's New York or whatever it is. Just kind of trying to get across the map a little bit. And
Yeah.
so that way it's not just yeah, and that way it's not just focused on California and California only, but it's an easy starting point for us.
Yeah.
So
Roots.
yeah,
I like.
what was that?
Said grassroots. I like
Yep.
it.
Yeah, grassroots for sure. And then from there, I'm trying to think. That's yeah. We have in 6 months too. We do have a tournament feature that I could start, but it needs a little bit more work, and I don't necessarily want to put in the money just yet. But if we do have enough money coming in, that is an option to release that. It would be an easy thing to offer like people another feature on the app because it's already been put in the works.
Yeah.
Um, and then for 12 months down the road, we've got a plan of hopefully hitting 100,000 players by that point. We are hoping to have an exponential growth. By then, we're hoping to have about $500,000 in revenue coming in. Um, and then, and that'll be where things grow pretty rapidly from there. We'll be able to start scaling different projects. One of the things that I'd like to put in is that puzzle solving campaign. Um, and I think that'll be really interesting and offer something unique for people. If they don't want to play multiplayer, they can play, a single kind of a single player kind of realm. Even though some of the matches are AI, it's still technically multiplayer.
Yeah.
Uh, and then also increasing, the budget from there even more for advertising up until we reach this kind of critical mass. The critical mass, I think, happens around 1 million players. So once we reach 1 million players, the chance of it going from 1 million to 10 million or 25 million players is almost like guaranteed. But up until that point, the bridge from 10,000 to 100,000 to 1 million, the 100,000 to 1 million is going to be the hardest thing to overcome. And
Mhm.
so we're going to have to keep an eye out on the user retention, how many people, what people are saying, if we're acting quickly enough to make those changes that they're frustrated with. Um, and so that'll be the primary idea there. At this point, also, I'm hoping to host the first Gods of Chess tournament. And we'll likely, stream that on Twitch or something along those lines and offer people, like a $10,000 cash prize if they win the tournament. I do want to include like not necessarily. I know it could be helpful to include some of the main streamers of chess and everything. Like if I got Magnus Carlsen, obviously that would bring a bunch of views and everything. But I like the idea of offering just the average person a chance to win money as opposed to these people who already like have created a name for themselves. I don't necessarily want to piggyback off them. I'd be open to it, but even in my tournaments in the future, I'm not gonna just like, be focusing on the most popular people. I'm gonna be focusing on people that have qualified and got themselves an opportunity to play.
Mhm.
Um, but I do hope that chess influencers at that point have picked up that this is a popular trend and that they will start incorporating it into their kind of streaming regimen. Maybe they don't play it 24/7, but they're like they dedicate one day a week to playing on the platform or something like that.
What are
Uh,
some of the chess
sorry,
influencers? Like,
what are some of the influencers?
yeah, like that you're mentioning, like the bigger ones.
There's Hikaru.
Is that how you spell it?
I think yeah, just like that. There is the Botez sisters. Uh,
How to spell that?
Botez.
Oh, Botez sisters.
Yeah. There are, or there's Magnus Carlsen. He's definitely on top. Um, there's one chess girl, but I'm not a huge fan. She's got a big base. She's kind of a bitch. Um, I can't remember. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys, but uh,
You really
on
said
smaller
it.
scale, not necessarily like a chess influencer, but a popular YouTube content creator that does play some chess. There is, um, gosh, what's his name? Here, let me look this up real quick. used to watch them all the time as a kid. Northern Lion.
Northern Lion, like that.
Yeah, yeah. So those would be some of the people that I'd like to get their attention.
Okay. Is there anything in particular about their videos that you would want to replicate, or maybe like what besides their following, like besides utilizing their following, do they also make content that would be along the lines of like what you would want to be showcasing for the game or making for the game?
A lot of their content is reliant on showing like the entire gameplay that they're doing because people kind of look towards them as a lesson to be learned. Northern Line has more of a back and forth, but he even still has kind of the full gaming out there. And I don't think that's exactly what we're going for. So I don't think we'd be necessarily similar to them, but they would just help to promote it.
Yeah, this game.
I think yeah, I think our content has to be like faster paced, more engaging to keep people watching the video as opposed to just like fast forwarding through it or, getting off the page altogether. So we're going to rely heavily on that like transition and the editing to, push the story forward without making it seem like something happened out of nowhere.
Gotcha. So you feel like this is everything that I've written out so far? Like, is this overall like within a year span, like all the things that you would want to hit? Like, is there anything that you missed that you want to throw in?
Yeah, maybe the only thing I think is the focus on how many college campuses and how much content we'll be putting together in those months. So I'd say in the first 3 months, it might be nice to attend 3 different universities if possible.
Hmm.
And then by 6 months, it'd be nice to maybe add another three. So that way we're just doing maybe three every month or one a month. Sorry.
Mhm.
Um, and then by 12 months, we add another 6 universities that we can attend.
When you say add more, do you can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so just like traveling, the first one I mentioned was Saddleback. Maybe after that we go to UCLA. I'm trying to go to public universities because I don't have to get permission to be on campus. And not that we're like doing anything controversial. And in fact, I'd definitely tell my team members to avoid any conversations that could be taken as such. Um, but it'll we can just show up to a public private or a public California university or a University of Texas, something like that, where we don't really need permission. We can just set up and do our thing as long as we have the media release form and we're not really selling anything. It won't cause any problems.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
let's say,
So
for example, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
Also, I'm just trying to make sure we're on the same page, then that I'm understanding. So let's say, for example, because when you're saying add in different universities, let's just say, for example, we're like, okay, what shoot number one? Like, are we hitting multiple universities? Just doing one at a time? Like, how would like a first one look?
I think we're just doing one university at a time. Because it'll take some time to like, sit there throughout the day and get people to
Yeah.
come up and test it out. So it might be like a 4 to 5 hour kind of a venue where we're sitting down, we're kind of going over compiling a bunch of footage together. And then drawing out the best ones that we like, that were the most exciting or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then from there, we would add another university on a different day. And that would be a separate shoot, essentially. We'd go to, at that point, say UCLA. Then we go from UCLA on a different shoot, go down to San Diego and check out like UCSD or something like that. So that's kind of the idea behind that one.
Yeah, so it would kind of be like a few universities a month or one university a month.
I
Like,
think one university a month will be sufficient in the beginning. We might be able to expand that later on. But I think my idea behind that would be that we're probably going to be able to get about, I don't know, 5 to 10 kind of YouTube shorts and TikToks per university that we go to.
Right.
Hopefully closer to like the 10 range.
Hmm.
And even though that might be a little redundant on the setting it takes place in, it still gives us a new person that we can push out there. So if we can get uh, any like 10 or up from each university that we go to, that'd be really helpful. And then later on, if we, have the budget available to go to more universities, I think that'd be smart.
Right.
Um, but yeah, in the beginning, I think just the one a month would be sufficient.
Okay. Awesome. So I know that this is going to be like kind of an ongoing thing for you, especially like one university like every month. Like I'm just kind of curious, like I know I kind of gave you a rough range of what it would cost the last time I had talked to you. Since now that we're expanding it on a little bit more and we're kind of being talking more like one university a month, and then also like since we're going to different ones, there's going to be some different travel involved, even if it is within California. I'm
Mhm.
kind of just curious to see like what your I don't know how long you're like looking to budgeting to do this for, but like let's say for example, is like doing this like once a month for the next 3, 6, or 12 months like viable to you? Is that something that you had like envisioned?
Yeah, definitely is. I think it'd be nice to kind of establish what you think. I mean, obviously, certain things like the travel involved would be different depending on where we're going. If there's a university closer to you, then it wouldn't be as intensive to travel versus like going all the way down to San Diego or something like that. Um, but if we can get kind of like an average cost of what you think is appropriate for like a day worth of shooting, and then also the process of editing and getting all those files put together to separate out the content between the combination of YouTube and TikTok together, or YouTube Shorts and TikToks together, and then the full version of the YouTube videos. That would be really helpful. So that way we can kind of plan it out, see how much that would cost in your mind. I don't know if you already have a figure in mind.
I don't necessarily have an exact figure in mind, like especially now the conversation's a little bit different from the last time we were talking. I did kind of tell you like based off of what we talked about last time, which is pretty similar, probably like $1,000 to $3,000 range. If you wanted to do higher production, it can go a little bit higher. Lower production is kind of when I say 1,000 to 3,000, that's a little bit more of like maybe me and one other person who can show potentially one other person shows up and then that helps with like the post production costs. It obviously, if you wanted to do higher production value, depending on your needs, like we can do that too. That's something we can talk about. And then if we had planned out something that I do with my clients too, is if we plan out to do something on a long-term basis, then I can like discount the videos if we were to sign a contract to do like basically videos in bulk, and then we can go over that, and then I can take the figures and then apply like a bulk discount based off of like everything that we talked about. Um, Basically, the whole idea is like how my idea, what I'm trying to understand and be on the same page with you too on is like how long were you looking to do this? And then what kind of deliverables would you expect from each shoot that we do? And then, of course, like even if I were to give you like a set rate, like if we're going to be traveling around everywhere, like there's the cost would go up like on the travel part. And then basically those will be a lot more straightforward because it's like, oh, here's a hotel, a flight, or gas or whatever.
Yeah.
Like those are usually expenses that I'll charge like after the project. But then depending on what we work out, like it's gonna like the cost of the service is pretty much what it will be. And then any additional things outside of that, like say if we started traveling everywhere, then that's basically kind of like I send you the receipts kind of thing. Does
Yeah,
that
we could do that, or we could say in the contract that the travel costs are, like on my end to uphold.
Yeah.
So like if we were all traveling to a certain area in the future, and I set up a hotel room for you and myself and whoever else is coming, and then the purchase of the plane flights and all that stuff being included. So whatever works best in that regard. We can either put it straight through the company instead of having like you book it, or I mean you could book it yourself and then I could reimburse
Yeah.
you, whatever works.
Yeah, for sure. That's usually what I do anyway with clients. So in terms of deliverables for each shoot that we end up doing, like what would be like the expected amount?
So I would like to have uh maybe like a two-part video essentially, or two YouTube videos that kind of go from our process of getting to the university and then spending some more time there.
Okay,
Um,
so scenes look.
Sorry.
Like a behind the scenes kind of look.
Yeah, maybe behind the scenes, and then also you know uh yeah, I guess behind the scenes, and then just switching back and forth between the game content and then us just being there. So a little
So
bit of a combination between the content and then also like what do they call it? The people that record themselves kind of walking around different places. Um, yeah, vlogging, like almost like a vlog kind of sense,
yes.
combination of the content.
So like a behind the scenes and an actual like campus gameplay video, right?
Yeah.
Like a full one, and then you cut it up into shorts.
Yes, and so then we could take other things from there, and that would produce our TikTok videos and YouTube Shorts. Is taking out those clips and highlights from those clips.
Like you're
It'll
saying,
definitely be a lot more fast paced. So if we're looking at like the 10 to 15-second range, we're talking about showing some of the like key moves that they're making. Like, oh my gosh, they lost to Queen, but they still won the match, or oh, it looks like they lost this one. Maybe next time, you know. So
mm,
I'd say that from there we'd be looking at having at minimum 10. It'd be nice to have closer to 15 so I can post one every 2 days. Um, and that would be for each shoot essentially.
gotcha. Um, oh, for all social media, right?
Yep.
Anything else you had in mind?
Um, Not necessarily. I think those are the two that I'm really trying to target, or the three platforms at least.
Yeah.
Because
You
our
know,
Twitter page is mostly going to be used for like updates. If there's
right.
anything crucial coming out, we're not really going to post like much content there.
Right. One thing that kind of comes to mind too is that I know that one of your goals that you said was to attract investors. Like, do you have any sort of like game plan in terms of outside of just building the platform itself? Like, do you have like investors that you personally know already? Do you have like a strategy of how you would try to reach out to them or attract them?
Yeah, I've got several. The problem that lost their interest in the beginning was that it was pre-revenue. So once I had something to show them that like, hey, this concept is actually producing, then they're going to be a lot more likely to join in. So I've got one of the original founders of ChatGPT, one of the founders of Lagunitas Beer, and then some.
One of my favorite beers.
And dude, same. Yeah, it's amazing. And the guy's like 86 years old. It's crazy. But he keeps trying to expand because he wants to leave as much money to his kids and grandkids as possible. So he's a pretty genuine dude. My family works up in Christmas trees in Oregon and everything, and so he's also affiliated with like property and ownership of the land that they grow that on. Uh,
Mhm.
so there's that, and then there's a couple other guys, but right now, the first investment that I got was a family friend who originally loaned me money. I paid him back, and then he decided to put in 100,000 as a investment at that point.
That's
Um, Yeah, so that was great, and it took like a year and a half to finally convince somebody. But I think if I go back to these people I was having conversations with, and I actually have some results to show them, they definitely will put up money, and they'll probably be kicking themselves in the ass about the fact that they couldn't have gotten in earlier because I'm going to give them a smaller percentage for the money they're getting at that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that'll definitely. I mean, by the 6 month mark, I'm hoping that we're bringing in at minimum an investment of 500,000, and I think that should show based off like what we have that the scalability of it is there. Um, and also the exit strategy down 3 to 5 years down the road to go ahead and move forward with that. But yeah, so that's that. In terms of, there was something else I was going to bring up. I can't remember. Um, I guess I'm a little concerned initially, like committing to a full 12 uh, video shoots. Just because if we're not at this point in 6 months, and we're still not at 10,000 players, which I think is unlikely. I think it's pretty likely that we will be. But if the chance is that we're not, and it's still taking more time, and I don't have enough money to continue, I have to focus my money on like small advertisements and stuff like that.
Right.
Uh, then it'll be better allocated in that direction to try to reach that quota. Um, but if we are, then it's guaranteed that we want to continue producing the films. So I know for a fact doing the first three for sure, and then from there it would be dependent upon kind of where we're at by month
Yeah.
4.
I'm not trying to push you into doing something like 12 months. Like obviously like we're still like kind of hashing it out. Like we still haven't really fully worked together yet. So I'm not trying to like push you into something like that. But what I'm basically just trying to kind of gauge like what's your whole long-term strategy because it's like I try to work with clients now. It's like there's long-term like goals that they really need to utilize the content for. Those are the types of people that I would prefer to be working with. So I'm really just trying to gauge like even if I totally understand if like we don't know for sure revenue wise if we'd be able to do that, but even just starting on the short term, like a 3 month thing, that way we can get like bulk amount of content. Because if we only did one shoot, like I'd probably be like you're probably wasting your time by only doing one shoot.
Yeah, I agree.
So three would be enough to at least get a feel for everything and then produce enough content to where you could probably like really see like where the traction can be and then like kind of gauge the metrics, I guess you can say.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I
I'd
can
be comfortable if it would work for you. If it costs more, we can talk about that too. But the $2,000 to $2,500 range would kind of be something that would definitely be possible for those 3 months, the first 3 months, if that
like
would be
per
possible
month.
per month, yeah, or per
Okay,
shoot,
gotcha. Um, cool. So let me go. I'll go ahead and keep all that stuff in mind. And then now that I know and understand like where you're at with all this, we can focus more on this. And then as things kind of move forward and like progress, like we can revisit some of these other things.
yeah. Cool. But yeah, also to answer your question regarding the longevity of it, I do think that social media and content creation isn't something that catches traction overnight, So I definitely agree in the sentiment that it takes consistency throughout the time. And as long as we're able to continue with that and do that, I most certainly would be interested in like a long-term kind of partnership in that sense, having you come back and keep producing these videos for me.
Yeah, for sure. Another question that I had is like, I know, do you have like people, or I remember you mentioning you're working with a marketing team. Like, are they also like handling all your distribution on like the social media platforms?
Yeah, so they'd be taking care of the social media platforms and then also the contracts between the micro influencers. And so we'll be kind of designing something that sets the parameters for how that content should be pushed out by them. But yeah, overall they'll be taking care of the release of the YouTube videos, the shorts, and then the Instagram page. And they also interact with the customers too. So if there's any responses or comments about it, they go ahead and get back to them.
Yeah, so your whole like logistics and distribution of the content is pretty much set, right? You would just need me to basically film it and deliver it.
Yep, exactly.
Gotcha. All right. Well, cool, Luke. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask?
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up. How do you feel about the idea and the project?
I think it's good. Like I'm glad that you have a lot of um like distribution stuff set up because a lot of times clients don't. So that's when I start offering like, well, I can make you the content, but if you don't know how to post it, then it's like it's going to be hard to like make it work. So that's where I was trying to gauge like where are you at on that. So it sounds like you have that covered, and then just focusing exclusively on the content, like that would be a piece of cake on my end. So how I'll move forward from here is I'll put together like a proposal for you, and give you some different options on like how you would want to start and move forward with everything. And then if we can just schedule like a follow-up call, maybe let me see, within the next few days, and then basically we can just go over like what the options are for you, and then we can move forward from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, absolutely. Any day in particular that you're thinking?
Let me double check my calendar. It's my birthday tomorrow, so
Oh, nice.
my
Happy
wife
birthday.
has forced me to have a day off probably. Thank you. You want to do Monday? Would probably
Yeah.
be the easiest day.
Yeah, that works definitely.
Perfect. I didn't schedule you in last time. Normally I do, but I had the job yesterday. Let me see. While I have you, I'm just gonna go ahead and schedule you in really quick. Um, Luke Durant at Gmail. Is there any time works for you?
Anytime, yeah.
Okay. Why don't we do the same time when we start 12?
12, yeah, that works.
12 to 1. All right, perfect. So yeah, I'll put those together for you and then we'll discuss it and then we can move forward from there.
Sounds great. I appreciate your time today, Scott.
Yeah, no worries. How did you feel about everything today? How did you feel about everything today?
Feel great. I definitely have been looking forward to getting started on this for a while. I know that it's necessary to have somebody else in the role that you're going to be helping with. So I wouldn't be able to do it on my own. We'd be able to go out and have these events at universities, but recording the footage and putting together something that's like quality is out of my realm. So I feel really excited. Honestly, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm glad. And you're really smart on your end too, to kind of like delegate to, okay, I'm not so strong in this, someone else will be, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's thanks to my brother. He told me to learn when to call it quits on your expertise, Go find somebody different.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool, Luke. So I'll go ahead and schedule you in on this Monday at 12. And then take care, Luke. Thanks for your
All
time.
right, you too, man.
Pretty much the purpose of this call is I put together some like package options for you, like kind of going over like the deliverables that you said that you wanted to have, and then keeping in mind like the budget that you had mentioned too. So I just wanted to go over that with you, and I put together a few options for you. So cool if I share my screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Give me 1 second. Can you see it?
I can indeed.
All right. So I have some different options that I put together for you. There's 3 different ones. And then basically I kind of laid out like what the prices would look like for those. And then if you decide to book it for 3 months, I applied a little bit of a discount. And then if you were to just say, for example, do it for just one shoot, then the cost will be a little bit different. So basically from everything that we had talked about, the the first one is, or the first package that I put together was pretty much everything that you had said you wanted in terms of deliverables. So behind the scenes video, full highlights video, 10 vertical videos. I know you had mentioned 10 to 15. Sometimes, you know how if you were to go record stuff, like maybe on the day that you film, maybe there's not as many like good reactions to it, sort of thing. So I basically put the option of if you wanted to do 10, we can do 10. And if you, maybe what we can do is like I can put together the full video and then you can kind of gauge for yourself like, okay, we can move forward with like 15. I see like a lot of good moments. Or if you wanted to add in more, like there's that option for it too.
Okay.
But basically, like this is kind of like, I don't want to say 10 to 15 and then there's this like a rough range of like, oh, this round am I going to get 10 or this round am I going to get 12, something like that. So I'm kind of just leaving a standard of like 10. And then if we were to end up editing more, then we can like kind of discuss that later on. And then that's pretty much what the package would look like for um, so with this amount of deliverables, and since I work with a team as well to help me with putting together the videos faster, for like a full deliverables of everything you asked, I would need around 3,000 for that. And then basically, this is the price if we were to do 15. And then this is basically just very brief, like rundown of what you're getting along with the details. And then if you decided that you wanted to move forward with doing it for 3 months or 3 different shoots, like you were mentioning, like 1 per month, I discounted the package at 10%. So it was originally like 9, so I brought it down to 81. And then this is the cost with the 15 videos as well. And then if you wanted to do, I also offer clients like the option to pay it monthly. So basically how that works is we would sign a contract for whatever one that we decide to do. From there, like the first payment would be due after signing the contract. And then 30 days from the first time I charge you, I basically charge you again through the software that I use to collect payments. And basically from there, like we work together on setting up all the days to actually do the shoots. Does that make sense to you so far?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then pretty much the other options is just kind of breaking it down into budget levels. So the first one being 3, this one being 25. So the only real difference would be there's no behind the scenes video in the second package. So you'd be getting the highlights and the social media clips along with the day of shooting. That one's at 2,500. And then if we were to do the 3-month package, I applied a 5% discount. If you were to do monthly payment, be $24.45 a month. And then basically option 3 is a lower version where you can either do, I didn't add this in, but you can either do the full like highlight video and then I can just deliver you that. And then if you wanted to on your own, you can cut it up into verticals or I could just do the actual verticals. So it's kind of like a one or the other sort of deal for that one.
Gotcha. Yeah.
How's this all looking to you so far?
Good. I think I would probably go with the first option, the first package, because that pretty much entails everything that we had gone over. And then I'd probably go ahead and move forward with just an upfront payment for the 3-month package at that point. Yeah. So we can run on that.
So save some money that way. So that's cool.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. How long do you think you would estimate the behind the scenes and the full highlight video being? I mean, does it depend on the amount of footage that we collect more than anything?
Yeah. So based off of the nature of what it is, since it's a behind the scenes of whatever we're doing, it's like I can't necessarily, or here's what the thing that I normally tell clients is like I don't really like to guarantee you like a certain length, mainly because if if a video could be good in like 6 to 7 minutes, for example, there's no benefit in like trying to stretch it to like 15 minutes. Like
Yeah.
that kind of does more harm than good. So, um, and then also too, like you said, it just depends on what's going on that day. Like if there's like some good moments, or this is something we can kind of discuss ahead of time too. That way I know like what you're looking to do and what you're looking to show in the behind the scenes video. And then for the highlights video, um, like you there can be a lot of good reactions, there could be a lot of bad reactions, or some like maybe not bad but like boring ones. So I can't necessarily guarantee a length, but what I can say is like from everything that we've shot that day, like I just take all of the best parts that like tell a story, um, deliver on the goal of why the videos are being made, and then that's pretty much when that's pretty much however long the video ends up being to make it that way is how it ends up being. With the shorts, it's with the vertical videos, it's a bit of a different story because it's like you can definitely get like you had mentioned 15-second clips. Like you can definitely get like 15 seconds of like content from them. So I can give you more of a guarantee on that. They could also fluctuate. Like sometimes they'll be 20. Like I'm not gonna lock it in at 15, but that at least tells me like the ideal length that you're kind of looking to do.
Yep.
And then from there, yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that does. I'm curious to for the something that we were discussing recently, with like the people that I'd be doing this with, or that you'd be working with at that point, was for what would be the highlight video. We were discussing like the best way to go about getting people involved
Yeah.
in creating this kind of narrative that would progress through and be something that people would be interested in following,
Mm-hmm.
that would kind of grab attention. And so for one, we have like I bought the gift cards, that are just like $5 participation cards if you win a match against the bot or something like that, and that's just like a thank you, or something for the sake of just signing the what's it called, a media disclosure, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And or a media release form. There we go. And then on top of that, we were thinking about doing kind of like a tournament bracket almost with not a lot of people, like 4 people or so.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have two 1v1s, and then they go down to the final on who's like going to battle it out.
Oh, so people can actually play against each other, right?
Yeah, and so I went and I bought 3 different prizes for the 3 shoots that we're gonna do. We'll only give away one each time at whatever university we're at, but that'll help us out in the sense that like at least we can present them. It'll look cool.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to give away something stupid like a shirt because I wanted it to be exciting for YouTube,
Yeah.
So I went and I got an Xbox Series S,
Oh,
a
that,
Nintendo Switch, and then I got a laptop. And so just like kind of a Chromebook 2-in-1.
okay.
And so I'm hoping that whoever wins that tournament structure prize can get that, and we can kind of celebrate that and have that be kind of like the highlight of the show. And I'm just curious. I hope that doesn't change your perception on the workload for what the highlight video.
I don't think so. Like, at least it would make it easier to get like the highlights that you're actually looking for. Because originally, what I was thinking myself was they play against the AI bot or something, and then they get a gift card.
Yeah.
I'm like, that could be a little tough to make good sometimes. It just depends on who you get. But if you were to actually like make it collaborative, get people together, and then um, offer like higher incentive prizes like an Xbox, I think that's smart. Like it would definitely get people to actually like want to play. Maybe even on a banner or something, be like win an Xbox Series X or the Switch or whatever.
Yeah. And then I know it's tough because not every university has like a Discord server or something that I can like reach out to the students on.
Mhm.
I know UCLA does have a Discord server specifically for their chess club. And so if we were going out to UCLA, I'd be able to, promote on there and say, hey, show up at this time if you want to have a chance to, be in this. And maybe we do like a raffle or something along those lines. We can let people test it out in the meantime for like an hour, get some footage of them, testing it and just playing around. And then we do the raffle on who's going to be the 4 people or, however many people we decide to go with for the tournament structure.
Yeah.
And go from there. One of the struggles, if I can kind of like deviate from what we'll be doing instead, is the timing. Is that we're coming into the summer session, so Saddleback College is going to be in their summer term or summer semester, and so I'm worried that Saddleback might not have as many people kind of walking around the campus and more people like online.
Right.
And then I believe I'd have to double check, but I think UCLA's campus is going into final exams on like June 7th or something along those lines. And so I'm thinking that we might, in order to try to like get the best footage possible and not, get rid of anything, is try to go to UCLA first as opposed to Saddleback.
Right.
And that way we can kind of reach out to people, and then we'll just have to kind of play it by ear on. I might go check out Saddleback during the summer session. In the next few weeks here, see what it's looking like on a day-to-day basis, and like if there's a lot of traffic and everything, and if there are a lot of people, then I can just probably put out some flyers or hand out some flyers or whatever it is, and go from there to kind of spread the word a bit and try to get people to show up. So yeah, that's just something I've been considering. It's just kind of a bad time more than anything for the most success. It's already difficult to try to get people to participate, and then we're kind of cutting our people in half. So yeah, but then by the time we go for the third one, I'd assume that we're probably getting back towards fall term. Could say if we started shooting in June.
Mm-hmm.
So August would be the last one.
Is there like alternatives to universities that come to mind? Like just a random thought.
Yeah, we could definitely do like Cal State Long Beach or Cal State Fullerton. I don't know if I'd be able to do SDSU. I might have to get permission because that's a private university.
Yeah.
Or is it San Diego? I think it is. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's private. Let me see here. So,
one of the things I was wondering too is like places that are not colleges.
Oh, yeah. I was considering that as well because like the Irvine Spectrum, for example. Going over there, I think I'd have to get permission from management because they have some free speech act that I called about. And that's a possibility. The only thing that kind of makes me nervous around that is the idea of going to colleges is almost like a theme, and if I were to deviate from that and show up to a random location, it might change the simplicity of it.
Right.
Whereas the goal would be kind of to get people at different universities interested, not only so they start potentially playing the app and designing content and producing it themselves for YouTube or whatever, but also so they can participate in our comment section and be like, oh, hey, I want you guys to come out to my university, in wherever it is. And then that's how we kind of establish a plan of where we'd be going in the future. And that way we don't really have to put too much thought into it as well. It kind of is just easy for us to coordinate, plan it out, and then go ahead and take care of that, as opposed to okay, we're going to New York. Where are we going to be in New York? Are we going to set up right in, Times Square? Like, how's this going to happen? Are we going to go to Central Park? There's so much more planning and everything around that. Where I think that the college campuses also have an easier way of contacting them if there's any issues with us like showing up or something along those lines. Like the administration's really available.
Gotcha.
Um,
That makes sense.
yeah, so that's definitely on my mind. I guess I'm just a little concerned about summer more than anything.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that popped into my mind, and it seems like August is going to be kind of the end of the summer term, and we might potentially towards the latter end of August get to the beginning of fall semester, which would be nice. Or if you're available to it, we could postpone it just by a couple weeks and make sure we're the last ones in the fall term and do it in September.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be 3 consecutive months. Like
Okay.
if we were to go ahead and move forward with like doing the upfront payment, then from there it's just like, all right, whatever days we end up locking in, like I can lock those in. Obviously, the sooner the better, but I understand too, like there's a lot of logistics that kind of go on to it. But basically, what I'm trying to say is like once we like sign the contract, pay the fees, whatever, it's like you'll lock me in, and then from there, like we'll work together on like, all right, let's set up this day, let's set up this day. I'm not going to force you to do 3 consecutive months, um, and then it being September, it's not too far ahead to where that would be like super crazy, but definitely like I definitely can't like wait a year.
Yeah,
For
no, that's
example.
fair.
So
Neither can I.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think with summer school and stuff like that will kind of give us an edge. But overall, it's like once you lock me in, like we'll set up the days. We'll work together on like getting that set up, and then just try to make it as easy on your end as possible.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to take a look at that a little bit more, but just like a thought, I guess.
Yeah. Do you mind? Maybe you could text me that link.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to show me?
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up. I guess we got some shirts coming in. We're not going to do like t-shirts. We're just doing like a polo for the guys that are going to be on the video.
Mhm.
Uh, and then and that's pretty much it. So I think I've got kind of a lot of the stuff prepared as soon as we do start. If you want to go ahead and send over a contract whenever you have time,
Yeah.
and then how do you prefer the payment for that? Would it be like a wire transfer to avoid any other uh, fees, or what's your preference?
I usually use Stripe, or or if you're willing to do an upfront payment, then I'm a little bit more flexible. Then we can do like a wire transfer or something like that, or I do Stripe. Um,
I just don't want you to get like hit with a ton of fees from Stripe where I can if we can avoid it, I'd be happy to, but it's up to you.
the fees aren't super crazy, but we can probably just do like a wire transfer. Like that would work for me. So what we can do, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and write out a contract for you,
Okay.
and then I can send you an invoice with the wire transfer details on it. I send the invoice through Stripe regardless because it's just easier for me. But in terms of payment, it's usually kind of flexible on how like I can receive it. So I can put the instructions like on the actual invoice.
Okay, that's perfect.
Sweet. So I can work on that today. And then I'm just kind of curious too, like how quickly are you looking to get started for the first one?
The first one I'm thinking about in around June, the beginning of June. Let me get back to you on that, and
Yeah.
I'll kind of get some dates pulled up. I need to
Okay.
take a look at their academic calendars again,
Okay.
and then that'll kind of give us a good range. If we decide if UCLA is going into their summer term a little bit later because they go on the quarterly system as opposed to semesters. Um, if theirs is a bit later, then we can do Saddleback first, like originally planned, and then just kind of work on advertising that a little bit on my end before we show up. But before we do that, I obviously need to set a date so that way we can kind of plan around that. So yeah, I'll take a look and then I'll get back to you by the end of this week.
Yeah, sounds good. Just text me whatever like the best dates are, like for you and for the calendar, and then I'll let you know what day works best for me.
Sounds good to me.
All right, sweet, Luke. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me before I let you go?
I think that's pretty much it, but I'm definitely open to any of your suggestions too. So don't feel like, it's just all what I say at this point. Like,
yeah.
You have a lot of experience.
A lot of times I act as like kind of a consultant to people too. So
sweet.
Whatever. So if I feel like there's something that can be done more efficiently or an idea or whatever, you'll hear from me.
All right, cool. I'm looking forward to working with you, man. It's
yeah, same
really
to you, Luke.
and
appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'll work on that stuff today. Send it to you within a few hours.
I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one.
You too.